Welcome back to another episode of the Carbon Cardboard Podcast, covering the Formula One card hobby. I'm your host, Brian, Q3 Cards, joined as always with Scott from the P1 Castle.
What's going on, folks?
Through all that, but it's like dramatic pauses.
You gotta change it up.
Yeah, gotta change it up.
Right? We've been together for a long time, Brian. We gotta keep it fresh.
The Castleites, aka the Legends chat, was demanding an episode. The Picassels, like, what's going on with the Picassels? Like, where's our episode?
I know it kept just getting pushed back. I feel like my fault primarily, for sure.
Well, one of them was mine too, because there was one of the nights this week. I was like, I'm like, dude, Scott, I am completely wiped, and so Mrs. Q3 Cards has been in Chicago all week. And
getting ready for the national?
No, doing actual work stuff. But I think she flew into where hopefully we're going to be flying into for the national. And between soccer practice and my son had soccer tryouts for another team this week, and just trying to fully function a household minus one spouse, it's sometimes podcasting takes a backseat, unfortunately.
It does. Yeah, but here we are recording at almost 11 o'clock at night on Thursday, so we'll have this.
So if I look disheveled and or tired or sound tired, apologies to the Carbon Cardboard community, all 21 listeners.
Yeah, well, now, the running joke is that, like, everyone's listener 21, although people are starting to claim numbers now.
I saw somebody claim number 69, and I thought that was a little high because we clearly don't have that many listeners. So,
I think Kevin claimed, was it 50, 51, 55? He said he's in the 50s, which again, I think is like
generous.
Come on. Yeah, Legends chat is bigger than our listener pool.
I think the Legends chat has more members than we have subscribers. So
I agree.
Even the Legends chat hasn't bought into the Carbon Cardboard podcast yet.
No, they're not fully convinced yet, Brian. We gotta
55 episodes in. We are still trying to convince. Although I will say though, Scott, I did get a message this week. Gosh, I'm gonna have to look up who.
Lewis.
This is great. This is great live radio /
you were saying Lewis Hamilton messaged you, right? He said he's a friend. He's a fan of the show.
So not Lewis Hamilton, but Blaine messaged us and said just found the podcast and absolutely loving it. So shout out to new listener Blaine. And
Blaine, let's go.
Let's Blaine, if you don't break yet in the P1 Castle, make it happen. See, Scott, I am the company man at this point. I am.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at this point, I'm just trying to get listeners. You don't need to break with me. Just listen to the podcast.
But you should.
We'll start with that. You could.
This is
4 minutes.
Yeah, under 4 minutes, and this podcast is already off the rails. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Obviously, we're not just going to ramble with Scott and I I mean, we could probably fill an hour just with this kind of tangents upon tangents and rabbit holes. So, for the first time ever, Scott, we are going to do a joint grid gainer. Insert drum roll now. Selected solely by the P1 Castle Legend chat.
The Legends chat, overwhelmingly, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't even close. Not even close at all.
So I thought this was a good thing to try, because not to say that what we've been doing is getting stale, but I also feel like we've been picking the same drivers over and over again, just kind of rotating between you or I.
The royal
we. Speaking of the castle, the royal we. So this will be interesting. So we both are going to talk about the same driver selected by
Right.
the Legends Chat. Legends Chat already knows what it is, so
Big surprise.
big surprise. They have the benefit of knowing, but if you're not in the Legends Chat, this will be a surprise to you. After that, going to cover some recent pulls in the castle, talk about you just started a couple days ago, and also as of this evening, did some more of the Dynasty.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to talk about
Paddock packs.
paddock packs,
Those have
and
been huge.
those are a lot of fun. So we will talk about that, some recent sales, and also some big CADs also for sale under P1 Castle Premium Consignment.
That's right.
Let's just
Get into it.
So, for the first time ever, selected by the P1 Castle Legends Chat, we have essentially driver of the day.
Should have been actual driver of the day. Let's be honest.
I mean, Scott, why did Max Verstappen get driver of the day? That was the ultimate troll job.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe, the fans were voting, for who caused the most chaos. The vote may have already been in before. I really don't know. I don't know. Maybe people hate George. I couldn't tell you, but I think Nico Hulkenberg definitely deserved it. He had an amazing drive.
So, drumroll. We are going to talk about Nico Hulkenberg. Deservedly
You got to
so.
really get the Hulkenberg in there.
Hulkenberg. We need Daniel Ricciardo to help us with that.
Right.
I think, Scott, this is the first time we've talked about Nico in the big gainer section. Oh, you did once.
I had him once it was the first race in Australia.
Oh, because he dragged that car to the point.
6th. And I was like, he may never score points again the rest of the season.
You were
Boy,
wrong.
was I wrong. Because not only that, but he has now a 5th place. God, he's so close to a podium. Will he ever get it? I don't know. But he had a great race. I think a lot of people took notice. I mean, Legends Chat, like I said, overwhelmingly, it was like 85% of the folks voted for Hulkenberg. So I think people are taking note of him a bit. Obviously, next year, guys, he's going to be with Audi, right? Stake turns into Audi. You hope that they can put together a better package than what they're dealing with right now. But they did have some upgrades on the car. Seem to be working for both him and Bortoletto. I must say Bortoletto did a pretty good job. But yeah, Hulkenberg honestly crushed it. And we're going to take a look at some of his cards today. So basically, we're doing same driver, Nico Hulkenberg. I've put together a couple cards. Brian's put together a couple cards. So the cards that I put together, I have for kind of like, your liquid, your, more attainable card is Nico Hulkenberg 2023, which again, 2023 is the first year that he appears in Topps licensed cards. 2023 Sapphire Selections base PSA 10. So beautiful card. This is the first year of Sapphire Selections. We obviously have them this year in 2024 product, but 2023 was the first year they did them. They also had parallels in that year. I almost went with one of those, but for my base, again, try to get it in a PSA 10. It is a pop 11, so there's not a ton of them out there. But, I think the actual base cards, what did we say? We did the math. It's around like 76.
I think it was either 76 or 84. So even at this point, there's only about a 10% gem rate.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's got to be more raw copies out there as well. You would imagine a lot of them just not graded. So I really like that card. It's a beautiful card. It's, it reminds me of 2020 and that it's got no border. I think it's really cool. And then for a Grail, I stay with 2023 because again, it's his first appearance, but also first appearance of the F1 armor insert. F1 armor insert has obviously changed a lot from 23 to 24. It's gone from vertical to horizontal. And they've changed kind of the way it looks. I personally like the 23 design a little bit better. I know when 24 came out, I was like, oh man, I might like this better. Now that I've had enough time, it's not like the new thing, I do think I prefer 23. Not only is it a vertical card, which I think I just prefer in general, but it's got like that carbon fiber vibe in the background. And you can get parallels outside of just out of 50, right? In 2024, every F1 armor is out of 50. And there's no different colors to it. But in 2023, you have the base silvers, which are all out of 50, but then you have red out of 5, of course, Superfractor 1 of 1. But on the screen, I've got a red out of 5 Nico Hulkenberg 2023 F1 armor, PSA 10. And I know it doesn't say it on there. I think this is a pop 1. It's a beautiful card. Obviously, PSA 10 is great. I think just this card in general is a grail of sorts for Nico Hulkenberg collectors. I mean, it's a color match for the team that he was with, Haas, in 23 and 24. I'm a big fan. I have always liked Nico Hulkenberg ever since his Force India days back with Sergio Perez and then Renault with Danny Rick. I think he's a great qualifier in particular. And then yeah, he's doing a pretty good job in the races. So I think if State can keep it up, you know, hey, he's got a shot to keep bagging more points right now. He's doing pretty well so far. So yeah, those are the two cards I've got. Hard to pick something that I like a little bit more than F1 armor. The helmet in the card, just absolutely beautiful. Mwah.
And to be honest, Scott, a PSA 10 on F1 armor in 2023 is a monster grade.
Yeah, very true. Right. I mean, you've graded
You
so
were
many of
lucky
these.
to get a PSA 8 for even the base silvers because you know, we don't have a copy of the back of any of these readily available. This was one of the first inserts that Topps gave us for Formula One, where it had a darker background all the way around. So you got whitening around the corners. There was indents in the back. You know, we had quite a few of the supers helmets come through P1 Castle grading, and gosh, I think one of them unfortunately got like a 6.
Yeah, I think there's multiple like 6s, 7s, 8s, authentics out there. Yeah, it really is tough to get a good grade on them for sure.
So, and it all comes down to preference. I mean, we have some that will send us cards for us to look at, and you know, I know even PSA now will offer to go for an authentic grade or even return raw to you if it doesn't meet a minimum grade. Obviously, you have to submit at like the $75 per card level or above.
Right.
So it's not cheap by any means. But it does also come down to the individual collector because some people just want the number grade regardless. It doesn't matter to them. But then others, especially for like the 101s, they would prefer if it's not going to gem or maybe get a 9, that they would prefer it to be authentic. And basically what that means is PSA is just saying, hey, this is a legit card. It's a 1 of 1. Essentially, the grade doesn't matter. You want it to look as good as it can in the slab, but sometimes it kind of protects yourself as well. So I mean, I could go on and on about pontificate about grading, but man, I am extremely jealous of seeing a 10 here.
It's beautiful.
For that card.
Yeah, whoever owns that, congrats. But yeah, so those are my 2.
So I will say, as I get ready to show my 2, I went down the rabbit hole and I started picking my 2 cards. And then I actually selected the same liquid card you did because I you know, great minds think alike, apparently.
That's right.
And then I realized that you beat me to the punch and you had already given your card to Ben. So I'm like, guess I'm finding another one.
Early bird gets the worm here, Brian.
So a little behind the scenes, clearly Scott is more on the ball than Q3 cards.
It's almost like I do this for a full-time job.
You do. And I'm actually hoping to do this for full-time soon as well. So, all right. So I won't rehash a lot of what you've already said about Hulkenberg. I think as we talked about in probably multiple different times in our now 55 episodes of the Carbon Cardboard podcast, you know, we both felt that long-term the move from Haas to Audi was going to be a good thing. This 1 year penance for staying with stake. But like you said, if the car upgrades are there, maybe some points are on the table for the rest of the year, because like you said,
Yeah.
the super sub that he is, stepping in during the COVID year, and I think he's extremely likable. He's a fan favorite. He's German. A lot of those different things working for him. So I went with his first Topps official autograph in Topps Chrome 2023. As a PSA 10, this is only a Pop 1.
That's crazy. That's
So
actually nuts.
so there probably was, I would say, probably less than 75 that he signed for this. And obviously there was not Sapphire autos here. So either you went for, in 2023, you either went with Chrome or you had Dynasty. So he had 2023 Dynasty autos. He did have, as you're saying that too, he also had the Sapphire Selections autograph as well.
Yeah, I actually almost chose the red out of 5 Sapphire Selections auto as a grail, but I didn't want to have kind of 2 of the exact same cards. Quick question for you on this one. So Pop 1, PSA 10. Do you think there is a PSA 10? Because obviously those pops, like, they're different.
They're separate. So that is, again, one thing to always be careful about when you think you've got a Pop 1. It may be, you have to combine the two, because PSA will split if you do card grade only, and then if you do dual grade.
DNA.
Yeah, the DNA grading or whatever it is. So I'm not personally a big fan of that, unless the autograph is just like a slam dunk 10 and it's a big card to begin with, a big driver. Or, if you've got a card that might be an 8 or a 9, but it's still a big card, low serial number, the autograph looks good. Sometimes getting a 10 on the label really helps the value there.
Yeah,
So.
right. That I was actually going to ask you about that. I know I don't want to go on too many tangents here, but if you've got a card that you being a prepper, grader, submitter, um, you're pretty well versed in this. If you have a card that you're pretty sure is going to get an 8 or a 9, right? Just the card itself, but then you're also pretty sure that the auto would 10. Would you then grade the auto? Like, do you think an 8-10 or a 9-10 is better than an 8 or a 9?
Absolutely. But it would also depend, based on the driver. And I just lost my camera here. So
Yeah, for
let me
those of
try.
you listening, Brian just disappeared into the nether.
So as I try to do that here too. So that was my that was my liquid card. I think there's probably a lot more PSA 9s. And again,
Yeah.
with centering and surface issues, and maybe he just wasn't really all that submitted. So definitely something to look at there. For a Grail card, I mean, he's got a lot of cards out there. 2023 was his first year in Dynasty. We've talked about, 2023 isn't necessarily my favorite design for Dynasty. So I actually went with a 2024 1 of 1 Nico
Beautiful.
Hulkenberg with a Haas. Looks like maybe a single patch glove relic, maybe off his suit, maybe off his shoulder. Just I've said it before. 2024 Dynasty is just chef's kiss.
good.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, that card is so aesthetically pleasing. I really, really like the 1 of 1s in 2024, especially, they've got like the red, white, black kind of F1 theme colors, and they throw in that line of gold and it just accentuates it. God, so nice. That is a hell of a card there, Brian.
Yeah, I just, this will be good. I think, Scott, I think we let the Legends chat pick our next one as well. I think we do it.
Well, we're not going to have one until again. So we're recording this on a Thursday. There's no race this weekend. The castle is going to be in Canada, so I'm going to be attending live. But I'll be back later. We'll probably do an episode next week before we go. We'll kind of touch on Spain again. We're going to go over the pick'em and tee up the next pick'em for Canada. Oddly enough, what's crazy is that Max, despite his rampage there at the end, falling to 10th, still ended up winning his matchup. And it was against a pretty good driver, just the way it goes sometimes. So, but yeah, we'll dive into that more next time. We'll tee up the next race. But yeah, I think once we do another grid gainer, we can see what the Legends chat thinks.
All right, let's take a look at some pulls. And again, like we talked about at the opening with your paddock packs Dynasty edition, each pack containing one 2024 Dynasty Formula One card.
Yeah, so these are cool because not only do we have, every paddock pack, and this is what they look like here. Every paddock pack has got a 2024 Dynasty card in it. So the way we set this up, generally repacks, so you've got chaser, you got floor, or whatever. We wanted to have multiple chasers. So we do them in sets of 10. Every single set of 10 has 3 chasers. And in this, it's 1 booklet and then 1 or 2 other chasers. Those 2 other chasers are either an Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, or a 1 of 1 of another driver. And then the floor pack, so to speak, is either a principal or a Logan Sargent out of 10 non-vertical jumbo. But the cool thing is that those that get a floor pack actually get entered into a second chance chase, and you can win this card. And you can see it up on screen actually already on the image, the Lewis Hamilton out of 2, which is actually the biggest card in the entire thing. Now, all 4 or all 5 of the sets do have an Oscar Piastri in it, which is pretty awesome, given that he's absolutely crushing it right now. And this stuff was comped out like a month ago, and now Oscar cards are through the roof. So if you hit an Oscar, you do really well in these. And we also throw in a pack of Finest, which I think is really fun because we've actually seen already some scenarios where the card someone got, they didn't hit a chaser, but then in the pack, they ended up getting like a massive Max or Lewis. So that's been pretty cool. But yeah, so at this point, we actually just tonight ran 2 of them, and we had previously ran 1. So there's only 2 sets left out of the 5, and I think there's like 4 spots in each. But yeah, this was from the first set. I mean, gosh, look at that. Look at that Oscar, man. That we have a Leclerc dual patch out of 10, an Oscar dual patch out of 10, and then a Sergio Perez. Red Bull gives you wings. This is a horizontal jumbo booklet, Perez out of 5, and then I showed the Finest packs on there just to let you know that you're getting them. But yeah, so that was the 3 chasers from the first night when we ran the first set of 10. At this point, we've now ran 2 others. It's a lot of fun. Everyone's enjoying it. And it's funny too, because there's been some folks who were in this last time. I did 40 of them last time. And, especially the people that were in the second chance chase and like won, now people are like, oh, come on. I almost want to be in the second chance chase. Cause then you've got a chance at that massive Lewis, which again is, $3,000-$4,000 plus card. So that's a monster. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. People are really excited about it. And, yeah, I'm sure the last 2 sets will be full real soon. We'll probably end up running them this weekend or early next week.
All right, and then some big pulls in the P1 Castle.
Yeah, so this was fun. This is actually from our last case of 2024 Chrome. So we had gone through, God, I don't know, over 100 cases since releasing. We were down to our last case. We mixed it with Finest, and we pulled a Charles Leclerc, the grid. This one was for Twins Break. Shout out. He was like, man, I really just want a grid of Leclerc so bad, blah, blah, blah. Literally, we're talking about it. And I was like, oh,
2 minutes later,
I think we have a grid. And then I pulled it down. I was like, oh my God. And sure enough, Charles Leclerc. So that one's actually on its way to you. If you don't already have it, it's in transit to you, to P1 Castle grading. Q3 Brian over there is gonna hopefully get it a gem. So yeah, that one was big. And then we also had some other hits in the same break. And now this is really funny. So first of all, the card is a uncommon 2024 Finest super fractor of Lando Norris. And we've recently made these stickers, the P1 Castle stickers, little helmet that we have here. And it's the P1 Castle with a little superfractor design 101 on there. And what I'm doing now is I'm kind of just like, inscribing them and sending them out whenever we hit a super. It's just a little extra memento for the superfractor you hit. But so this was hit for Collector's Pit Stop. And what's so funny about this is this was in that mix or break, 1 case of finest, 1 case of chrome. When Collector's Pit Stop originally reached out, he was like, hey, is there any way I can only buy chrome and not finest? So I was like, oh, I really don't like to like split them up, and I was like, here, I'll give you a little bit of a discount. Just take it together, and he's like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And so then I come to find out that he's then like shopping it around. He's asking other Lando collectors like, hey, do you want the finest portion of this break coming up? And like people didn't get back to him or passed on it. And then sure enough, we hit a superfractor and he's like, oh my God, like, can you imagine if he had sold the finest portion? And I was like, congratulations. He's like, no, I don't have it anymore. So that was really funny to hear. Cool story. And now he's got his first ever superfractor that he's hit. So it's just weird the way those things kind of come together. But yeah, huge congratulations and really cool. We're on fire right now, I must say. When we first started with finest, like it was slow going with hitting supers. And now, I mean, geez, in the last week, I think we've hit 5 finest superfractors. We hit one today. We hit a finest Masters Taylor Barnard superfractor. I think you were in the chat in there when we were doing a little midday mojo. So it's been crazy.
And then last one.
Oh, God. So this was from our single stream night. So everyone, if you're in the P1 Castle community, we do Sunday singles. Sometimes that gets pushed to Monday if we're at a race or doing family stuff or whatever. So we had done it on Monday night. We had 180 singles plus a bunch of other auctions, tons of giveaways. I think at the end it was like 250 plus cards. And then we were mixing in, we were running, our finest random after team breaks. And we pulled the first card we actually pulled that was huge for Ferrari was this dual auto of Leclerc and Sainz out of 5. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then we had, some boxes left over and we ran it on a little midday mojo. And sure enough, I was like, oh, we got a superfractor. And it is Charles Leclerc. 1 of 1 superfractor relic, and it's the finest, just the finest relics like design. It's not the finest formulas, it's not track attack, it's not race day relics, it's just the standard one. And man, it has got the Amazon AWS like smile arrow on the red. It looks so cool because it like points to Leclerc. And then it's got the superfractor. It is a beautiful card. I've got it in my hand right now too, and this thing is absolutely insane. And we had sold, I think we actually talked about it last episode. We sold a similar, I think it was the finest formulas versions, but of Oscar and Max for like $5,000. So, I mean, this card from a $33 spot, I mean, it's like a $4,000 card. It's absolutely insane. Dreams really do come true. They say you go to Disney and you wish at, the Magic Kingdom castle. Well, you can stay in the comfort of your own home and just turn on the P1 Castle stream and your dreams will come true. It's the new pitch.
The new tagline.
Well, it used to always be, it used to be before I was P1 Castle, back when I was Pirates Card Castle, it was always fireworks in the castle, and
still could be. I mean, you still
could be, need to bring it back. I feel like we've got, it's only in the P1 Castle. We've got keep pushing. Those are like our 2 main hashtags. You can bring back fireworks in the castle. It's a long one though.
It is. Maybe I'll throw it into like the grading stuff we do because I don't know.
There you go. Fireworks in the P1 Castle grading.
Oh, man, I don't know. Like PSA has definitely come out of their slumber this week because we've got some big stuff that's been coming back and some stuff that have been sitting forever. Oh my gosh, somebody
Legends chat's been going crazy with all the
stuff. We had since February 7th. It popped, I think, yesterday on June 4th. Dual autos sent in at the lowest level you can, because we try to save our Castlelite people some money.
That's right.
And they finally popped. Dual grades take a while, but yeah. I think PSA is kind of opening from their slumber. I'm sure we'll probably talk about it on the next episode, Scott.
Yeah,
but
we should.
We gemmed not one, but two Oscar Piastri purple helmet collection today.
That is nuts.
One of them for our friend Just an Incident. So I know he was.
I feel like he's running. It's like a theme here. He buys raw from P1 Castle Consignment. He grades with P1 Castle Grading. And then he's got a gem, and then who knows? He's probably going to come back to me and tell me to sell for him again. Although I don't know. He's a big Oscar collector. So
yeah, he said that one might stay.
He could go.
So we'll have to show it on the next episode, but he said it might stay in the PC. But I was telling Chris, I was like, Chris, if you were so happen to just slip in an extra, tip into your invoices when we get that, I can potentially sabotage the other cards in that similar pop. And then just kidding, I would never do that. I treat every card like it's my own. I always have. So that was was so cool.
I wonder, do you know, I mean, I don't know if you would, but do you know if he has a gold sapphire or orange sapphire PSA 10 Oscar?
I believe he does, because I feel like
so that's the full rainbow that you can possibly get in a PSA 10 for sapphire, because the pad is an 8. So, gold, orange, purple, or how black and white. I don't know if he has a black and white.
I feel like I've gemmed that for somebody, but again, I'd have to go through the.
Chris, let us know. Shout out. Let's hear it.
All right,
I want to see it.
So let's look at some big sales from Premium Consignment.
Yeah, so this is funny because we had a bunch of Oscar stuff come in, and this is like, oh man, I don't know, 2 months ago probably.
This sat, didn't it?
So yeah, and we had a bunch of Oscar stuff come in like 2 months ago, and so it was kind of right when he had just started winning, but he's still second in the championship. People weren't really sure, and we had an orange sapphire PSA 10 portrait rookie card 2023. We had an orange wave PSA 10 portrait rookie card 2023, and we put them up both at like $17.50 our best offer. You ended up buying the sapphire, and you got it at a good time, because like since then it has gone up for sure from where we sold it. But so then this one we decided, okay, it was up for a little while. We're like, no, we're going to take it down and we're going to put it up a little bit higher, because now his card values have just gone crazy, especially on orange wave. The pop only 5. So we sold 2023 Topps Chrome Oscar Piastri orange wave out of 25 PSA 10 rookie card portrait for $2,500, which is a record for his orange wave portraits. I think there's been some true PSA 10s that have gone a little bit higher. There's also been some even recently that have sold for less. But yeah, so this was a really strong sale. Also just a great buy too. I mean, this is a beautiful card. I think waves are underappreciated. They're also extinct now. So there's that. But yeah, so beautiful card here. Congrats to Bo on the sale, and congrats to the buyer on the new card. We also consigned a 2020 Dynasty George Russell out of 5 single patch PSA 10. This one sold for $4,000. The recent comps, there was a PSA 9 auto 10 that sold for $1,750. There was a BGS 9.5 auto 10 that sold for like $2,000. So definitely a really, really strong sale. Granted, PSA 10 is a premium for sure with 2020 Dynasty. So I think, a strong but fair sale here on the Russell. His market, just, gosh, it is in a weird place. But I think this was a good step in the right direction for him and his market. And then the last one we've got on here, and these things, it's funny. We have sold, I think, 4 Lewis Hamilton 2020 autographs in the last 6 months. And this one on screen is a BGS 8.5 Auto 10 that we sold for 14,000. So pretty much the exact price that we sold a just straight PSA 10 I think a couple months ago. But yeah, beautiful card. I like, it's interesting. I grade all my stuff PSA, and I would tell everyone to, but every now and then it is kind of nice to like hold, like they're so solid BGS slabs. They really are. Now who knows what the person's going to do with this, if they're cracking it or what, but yeah, it's a beautiful card. But 2020 Lewis Hamilton silver autograph out of 58. BGS 8.5 auto 10 sold for 14,000. We've got another Lewis PSA 8, I believe, going into our Fanatics Collect auction later this month. So should be interesting to see how that one stacks up.
Yeah, I think this one, if crossed to PSA, I think would be an 8, just because, just from my experience in cracking a lot of these, because a lot of people don't keep their cards in BGS slabs, is usually if you go by the subgrades, PSA will grade to the lowest subgrade. And on here, you could see the edges are an 8.
Which makes sense. The clipping,
it could
probably.
it could be possible to, potentially improve the card if one was to know how to do something like that. But I would say very strong likelihood of an 8, outside chance at a 9. But especially to the surface at 8.5, there probably been, maybe a surface scratch or something like
Could
that.
be,
So
yeah.
there's a couple grades. So it would probably be better to keep it as is if it were me.
I will say I'm actually surprised. And now I think Beckett is a little more lenient on the autograph grades, but I'm surprised that auto got a 10. That would be one that I'm sure, like, I would not recommend grading that autograph.
So we're gonna zoom way in.
Come on.
To be honest, it's actually, I kind of agree. So if you look here, it is missing the loop, but it's not like it was a pen lift. It's not like there's a faint line there. So that's what PSA would grade down for. The other thing that would happen on this too is if it did not get a Beckett 10 autograph, you would not see that little insert into the slab. It would be just the full label all the way across, which I just, from a consistency standpoint, I just doesn't.
Prefer.
Yeah. So it's either a 10 and you get the little, and it's funny because it's a little piece of plastic that actually rattles around in the slab too,
Yeah,
which
it
drives me
does. It
absolutely
does move
crazy.
around. Yeah, what's funny? Like, these companies have been around for forever, and like you get these like things like that where it's just rattling around. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, interesting. I mean, first of all, it's a great card, right? Obviously. So congratulations to the new owner, and Lewis Hamilton 2020 silver
There's only 58 of
autographs.
them, and how many? What, he didn't have any golds. He had an
No gold.
orange.
Orange
No
out of
gold.
25, red out of 5, superfractor out of 1. I mean, there's just not a lot. And then of course the 4 printing plates. So, well, maybe 4. I actually don't even know if they do 4. That break. Okay, so completely random little tangent here. I was going through some of the cards today. We actually just sent them out, big package, fully insured, over to Fanatics Collect, and I had 3 1-of-1 magenta printing plates. Lewis Hamilton, portrait. Max Verstappen, portrait. And then we had the Mercedes, like constructors championship
Card
slash,
100.
Lewis
Card
7
100.
time. Yeah. Card 100. They spelled it Magenta on the slab. Like, on the label, it says Magenta printing plate.
They
I'm
would
like,
fix that.
yeah, but how do you make that error? So that means someone is manually typing that in. It's crazy.
That was probably, my guess is it was probably submitted before they had uploaded like the full checklist. So again, not to nerd out with grading, and I do a lot of submitting to
Oh,
PSA.
please do.
If you submit cards almost immediately at release, PSA has not uploaded the full checklist. So if you are trying to put in cards, you have to do it all manually, which adds to the time and process that it takes to do it. Eventually, for the main hobby releases, you will get like Chrome and I think eventually they'd finally put Finest on there.
Yeah.
Is then when you start to type in a little bit of the information there, then it would pre-populate. But usually for Sapphire, usually Dynasty, and I think they finally did do Paddock Pass. Even if you have it, you need it to be previously graded a similar card for it to populate, because otherwise you got to
Right.
put it all manual. So, yes, I think obviously at the time, my guess is it probably has a cert starting with like a 6.4, probably one of the earliest ones that got done. And yeah, somebody at PSA, some intern probably hand typed that.
That's
Spell check
right.
next time.
No, hopefully.
All right, let's end the show with some cars that are currently for sale, and let's just keep it on the theme of Sir Lewis Hamilton.
That's right. So we've got a 2020 most iconic card in the set, Chrome image variation of Lewis Hamilton, PSA 9. That is for sale for 2,000 or best offer. Absolutely beautiful card. Very hard to gem.
So hard.
Uh,
Shout out to Rudy Parazer. He's gemmed like 2 of them. I'm
yeah,
extremely jealous.
that's big.
I have yet to gem one. It's on my bucket list, Scott.
We're going to get it. We're going to make it happen.
We are, hopefully.
Up next, we have got.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Look at that. It's a 2024 finest. Card number 8, common, Oscar Piastri Superfractor, 1 of 1. PSA 9, 5,000 or best offer on the Oscar. And the next card, and no, your camera is working. It's a 2024 finest Formula One card 108, uncommon Oscar Piastri, PSA 9, Superfractor 1 of 1, 5,000 or best offer. So both of Brian's Superfractor, I actually, do I have them right in front of me? Oh, they're just out of my reach. They're just out of reach, but I can see it right over there, but I'm not going to move and grab it because my camera is following me right now and it's going to be chaos if I do. So,
Scott, I feel
but
like you
they're there.
just pulled the uncommon Lando portrait.
Yes.
I
Yep.
feel like whoever ended up with that, it would be good to pair both of the helmet cards.
Ooh, there you go. Collector's
There
pit
you go.
stop. Hop in. But yeah, so those two Oscars are for sale. Massive cards, 2 of the biggest cards in finest. So yeah, excited to see who ends up picking up those.
For sure. Very hard to let go. I enjoyed them for like a day. It was funny because I got them in. I was like, "Whew, they look so good. And I was like, Scott, I don't know. I getting a little cold feet. I enjoyed them for like a day in my uh, case right over here with all my other Legos and mini helmets and stuff. And I was like,
That's
you know
right.
what? Trying to get this business off the ground. I'm like, as much as I want to enjoy them here, I could put this to a lot of good use. So I really do hope that they end up with a big Oscar fan, McLaren fan.
That's right.
And that's one of the benefits too from going with, obviously, I've known you for a long time. Well, not a long time, but enough time. And for me, it was like, okay, I know Scott will get it to the right collector and also help it out the most rather than just throwing it on like eBay and then
Right.
just, seeing whatever happens. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so excited to see where those end up. But yeah, a lot of things coming up that we'll probably talk about on future episodes. We've got the Fanatics Collect X P1 Castle auction coming up. 96 cards this time instead of 201. Some really cool cards in there. And some that are relatively affordable. There will be some cheaper ones, but a lot of big cards. Then we have Fanatics Fest itself, which we haven't really talked about too much, but that's going to be very exciting. So I'm really looking forward to Fanatics Fest, and then loads of breaks and stuff. And then before we know it, it's going to be time for the National and Trade Night. So yeah, lot coming up. The summer is always really fun for the F1 card hobby. So excited to talk about everything.
you just reminded me, Scott, I got to book my plane ticket soon.
Oh baby. P1 Castle grading, aka Q3 cards in the house.
We'll have to figure out if I can set up a prep station, or I'll make sure to bring all my stuff in case anybody needs anything for on-site PSA.
Yeah, are they gonna let you bring in the slicer? They,
that might not make it through security. That's how we get the PSA 10 edges and corners, but just kidding, we really don't. PSA, if you're listening and watching, Scott is completely joking. It's not how we do things. Yeah,
of course not.
And the other thing is we don't wipe off serial numbers, so
no, not even going there.
Nope.
All right, everybody. It has been a wonderful episode. And before we get in too much trouble, I think it's time for me to end the episode. So we don't have a race this weekend, but we'll be back next week with an episode. We'll talk a little bit more recap of Spain, go through the driver matchups on the pick'em. We'll talk Canada pick'em matchups and where we're going to go. And yeah, we'll have more info on Fanatics Fest, Fanatics Collect Auction, and everything. So in the meantime, collect your cardboard, keep it carbon.